Hey guys, and welcome back to another exciting episode of Explicably Inexplicables. I'm Arnav.
And I'm Nikhil. Today we've got an exciting episode that's reshaping industries worldwide, robotics and automation.
Okay, so I think it's important to first dive deep into the world of manufacturing automation. I think a very prominent example of this is Foxconn, which is, for those of you who don't know, it's the company that manufactures Apple products. It's actually replaced some of its workforce with robots. And it's no secret that Apple products are made with precision, but how is Foxconn utilizing automation in their production lines, and how is it ensuring that this precision is held up?
I mean, like you said, right, they've introduced robots specifically for tasks such as the iPhone assembly, right? Like you mentioned, they are made with very careful precision, right? And these robots can handle very delicate components with consistency, ensuring high quality products. And so I think it's impressive, right, how the automation is not only improving efficiency, but it's also kind of improving the quality of products, right? And so I think that, by utilizing automation in their production lines, they're just making their products more marketable to an audience because of its quality, its increased quality compared to humans.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of ethics for that, we do lose a part of our workforce, and people are losing jobs. And I think we've talked about this before, how AI is affecting jobs in one of our previous episodes, but it's also creating innovation for new jobs in this economy, for people who can control the robots, for people who can code the robots. So I think it's it kind of goes both ways.
For sure.
And I think that's manufacturing automation. But what about autonomous vehicles? Like how companies like Waymo and Tesla are leading the charge.
Yeah, so I know Waymo, right, is a subsidiary of Alphabet, for those of you who don't know, and it's making big strides in autonomous driving technology. They've been, I read last night that they were testing self-driving taxis in select cities, right?
Crazy. Which
is obviously aiming to revolutionize the way we compute. And honestly, in my opinion, it's a very interesting idea, honestly.
I mean, yeah, it's the future.
Right.
It's kind of what we think, like sci-fi fiction. But
right
now it's not fiction anymore. It is very much a reality. Like Tesla has the autonomous driving feature, and their autopilot feature is constantly evolving. But they do have plans for a fully autonomous Tesla taxi network. And I think that's really interesting because people right now still have the trust factor in autonomous vehicles. Like, oh, is it 100% safe? And there's still human error in the environment that we live in, which is why there is still so many accidents. It's not the robot's fault. It's the fact that humans are making the error. And when things don't go right because of the robots can't really adapt to it.
For sure, yeah. Tesla's really interesting. And you know what the recurring theme of all this is, Arnav?
What?
It's Elon Musk. He's back at it again with SpaceX, y'all.
Mr. Iron Man.
Back at it. Yeah, so speaking of SpaceX, right, they're actually using automation in rocket manufacturing and launching of those rockets, right? And what it's done is obviously it's reduced costs and it's increased the frequency of space missions because of the increased quality that the robots can produce in place of humans.
People don't really think of, when people think of automation, they don't really their mind doesn't go to the space industry, right? But I think it's very important to note that the space industry is indeed benefiting from automation in multiple ways, which is through either assembly lines creating the robot, or even in terms of providing information, like for example ChatGPT, and research or facts, or things that our humans can't process and aren't very capable of in a much shorter time span than normal. But what about robotic pharmacies? What is automation doing in the healthcare industry?
Yes, I know. I heard that companies like Medieval and Script Pro have developed robotic pharmacy systems that can actually dispense medication with precision and safety, right? And so these systems can also free up pharmacists' time for patient consultations, right? But obviously on the other end, it might, alleviate them negatively from their jobs, right?
I think that's a very significant development, especially in improving patient care. Only thing to be really careful is if, let's say, the medication doesn't work or something doesn't go to plan, what is the ethicality of that? And people, there'll be so much rioting in terms of, do we still trust AI to the fact that we're putting our lives at risk because of it? And I think that's when it comes down to what's the line that we cross for automation in all of these industries, especially when we're so diverse with it.
Yeah, so I think you're trying to like tackle cybersecurity here. So that's definitely been a growing field, obviously, because people recognize that this is an issue. It is, it really is. And so obviously that industry has been growing in attempt to tackle that, right? And so the more we become, connected through, automation, right, in terms of these companies, the more vulnerable we are to cyber attacks. Companies like Darktrace are actually using AI to protect against cyber threats, including those being targeted against automated system. And I know, there's several other softwares out there, right? It may not just be Darktrace using a certain AI platform, and it doesn't even have to be an AI. It can just be a software, right, that's helping protect against cyber threats. I know the FBI, for example, uses that because obviously they're the FBI and they have access to a lot of information that's highly sensitive, and they're PIIs, right? They're personally identifiable pieces of information.
Yeah.
And so I think just the development over time it's a little bit scary in the sense that, if cybersecurity cannot develop as fast as the robots and the automation are doing, then it's going to be an issue. And it is kind of an issue right now too, right? But as long, I think, as cybersecurity is developing at or better in terms of the pace as automation is, I think we can be fine in the future to a certain extent.
I think that's a very important point. We know biased algorithms have been such a huge concern in the hiring process, and how automation could perpetuate existing biases, right? And companies like HireVue are developing AI-driven interview analysis tools, but they must also address concerns about fairness and transparency.
That's actually a really interesting point, because there's a huge debate about that, because, on one end, right, with robots and softwares and things like that, right, if you go on social media, you do want to have a feed that resembles what you like. So to some extent, you do want a certain bias in your feed, but on the other hand, you don't want it to be so biased that it is propagating information into your brain that really shouldn't be something that's you're having to worry about, right?
Yeah, it's what drives apps like Instagram and TikTok to be so addicting and so dopamine driven, because people see what they want to see, and if what they want to see is always going to be there, then what's stopping them?
I think that's about all the time we had for this episode. So as we wrap up today's episode, I want to make it clear that automation is shaping the world in profound ways. It's enhancing efficiency, quality, and to some degree our safety. But it's also important to remain vigilant about the ethical and the security aspects of it, right? We mentioned those cybersecurity tasks that you should be aware of. And automation is a tool, and how we use it will define its impact on society, similar to really anything else.
Exactly. Automation is so diverse, and it's everywhere in all these different industries across the society, and in every aspect we can think of, and it's only going to grow in terms of future implications. So it's important to stay informed, and yeah.
Yeah, so with that said, that is a wrap on today's episode of Explicably Inexplicables. Be sure, until next time, that you stay curious, stay informed, and stay tuned for more of our episodes.
Peace.